Right, so the first thing is we're going to be talking about the gunas. Okay, what are the gunas? No, I asked what are the gunas, not name the gunas. Gunas are cosmic forces. They are the forces that come into existence at the time of creation. And they orchestrate all the transformations, the creation, the sustenance, and the dissolution in the universes. Right? And so gunas then have many, many facets to them. And they are 3 in number. Right? So the first guna is the sattvic guna. Sattvic guna. Second one is the rajasic. And third one is tamasic. So sattva, rajas, tamas, that's the name of the gunas. When we have the word IC, or the letters IC, it's describing the adjective. You're describing that something is sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Right? But the gunas are sattva, rajas, and tamas. Right? Each has their own role to play. So creation is always originates from the sattvic guna. Sustenance, maintaining something, the rajasic guna. Bringing to completion or dissolving, dissolution, the tamasic guna. Right? And so we understand this sometimes as the Brahma, the Vishnu, and the Shiva aspects of God. Right? This is the play of this. And so the gunas affect everything in your life. Doesn't matter what it is, you'll find that the gunas are always at play. Whether it is your body, whether it is your mind, whether it is your senses, the food that you eat, they're all influenced by the gunas. Okay? Now, let's take a look at how these gunas show up. So a guna then has a positive and a negative expression, right? Remember that gunas are vital in the world that we live in. You can't take the gunas out and think you're going to operate. For the world to exist, the gunas have to be there. They are cosmic forces, right? But they have a kind of a positive expression and a negative expression. When the gunas are excessive, you will see the negative expression of it. Right? When they're in balance, you will see the positive expression of that. Right? So let's look at the positive expressions of the sattva guna. And we're now talking about not just our bodies, but we're really looking at the mind. Right? Because we're really relating the gunas to our behavior and our attitudes and the inner processes. Right? So the sattva guna will show up with qualities such as selflessness. So if you're selfless, that's the sattvic guna. Pure, meaning without a trace of selfishness. Insightful, that's another quality of the sattva guna. Equanimity, so in other words, this equipoise, undisturbed emotions, undisturbed mental processes. That's the sattva guna. Discrimination, or discriminating, the ability to separate what is good from bad, what is real from unreal, that's the sattva guna. Contentment, the sense of peace and acceptance and balance. And lastly, sense control. Ability to control your senses comes from the dominant sattva guna. Okay? Let's look at the rajasic guna. So the rajasic guna brings with it firm resolution. So the quality of being resolute, determined. The ability to take consistent, stern actions. In other words, to effect something, to make something happen, you need the rajasic guna. The rajasic guna also brings courage. A positive aspect of this is courage. And lastly, it brings energy. Right? You know, when you say someone has got the Shakti, then you say, hey, this Shakti is like, you call it the Kali element of it, right? That's the other end of the spectrum. But this power, you see it in many things. For example, if you didn't have the Rajasic quality, you'll never get up and do anything and achieve anything. So all your attainments, all your achievements comes from the quality of Rajas showing up in different ways. Okay, the positive qualities of tamas is submission. So in other words, bringing the senses under control and submitting them to the control of the intellect. That's what submission is. Humility and modesty are positive tamasic qualities. The quality of nurturing and caring comes from the positive aspect of tamas. Right? Can you see now how your personality and character is being shaped? So if you've got a skew of this, like you've got more Rajasic, tamasic attributes in you, then you're going to see those things showing up in a negative way. But if it's balanced, and we're going to give you what Swami has said about the balance of how much of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas must be in males and females, then you're going to see the positive expressions of this showing. Right, so Swami's instruction to us is that we have to divinize our lives and we have to transcend the influence of the three gunas. In other words, if you can live without the three gunas affecting your mind, then you already have mastery over yourself. So living beyond the influence of the three gunas, that's the goal of our spiritual journey. That's the training. You have to learn what to do, how to do, when to do it, right? And then we start to master this. Right, so the negative aspects of the gunas, sattva doesn't have a negative aspect either. Well, you can in a way. If you're too sattvic, then you just let everybody walk over you. So that's not what you want. Right? You need some rajas to navigate the world. But the main problem areas are the negative aspects of the Rajasic guna and the Tamasic guna. Right? So this you're going to write down. So the Rajasic guna, excessive passion, anger, self-centeredness, selfishness, envy, jealousy, self-aggrandizement. So that's like inflating your ego. This is about me, you know, check out my car, check out my this. You know. So like you see this in people who like flaunt their cars. You know, you put the sort of 10 speakers which drives the car. They're actually saying, "Look at me." That's called self-aggrandizement. Some people do it with their glamour, clothing, all different ways of doing it. You know, all the toys and things that we have in the world. That's what it's about. It's coming from this Rajasic guna. So the Rajasic guna strongly inflates the ego. It's constantly saying, look at me, I'm better, I'm this, I'm that. Right? That's the effect of this. Right? Domineering. So when you have a domineering personality, one who like sits on everybody else and bosses them around, that's coming from the Rajasic guna. Often see this in the business world, right? And in certain industries. Condescending, looking down on others, that's a Rajasic quality. Pride, and you know there's 8 forms of pride now. Egoistic, all about me, I and me, poor me. Everyone picks on me. They're always talking about me. And that's coming from the Rajasic quality. When it's very excessive, it messes up your life. You think the whole world is after you. Right? Ultimate delusion, that is, right? Sense gratification, always looking to satisfy the senses. And often that leads to that excessive desire. Right? So that's coming from the Rajasic guna. A sense of worldliness, always being involved in the world, never practicing withdrawing from the world. And then there's glamour, an excessive investment in your body and looks, etc. And then revenge. These attributes are all rajasic qualities when the rajasic attribute is unbalanced. Okay, tamasic negative qualities, laziness, slothfulness, so just plain untidy, slow in doing everything. Procrastination is a negative tamasic quality. Ignorance, just not knowing, couldn't be bothered. So in conversation, when someone says, who cares? I couldn't be bothered. That's the tamasic quality showing for different reasons. Right? Being deluded or delusion. Vengeful. Vengeful can be both rajasic and tamasic. Right? Excessive sleep. Excessive sleep, right? And then just having excesses in your life, overdoing anything, is tamasic. A dull intellect, disinterested, unconcerned. This sounds like your teenage children. A good, well-rounded description. That's how they operate. Unconcerned. Okay, now that we know these attributes, you know what the positive expression is and what the negative expression is. Right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the proportion that Swami has given for males and for females. So in both males and females, the appropriate proportion of the sattvic qualities should be 70%. Okay? It has to be quite high, about 70%. The rajasic quality in males should be 20%. In males, 10% in females. Okay, and then the last tamasic quality should be 10% in males and 20% in females. By the way, this higher tamasic quality in females is what gives them the ability to nurture. The whole quality of mothering, caring, etc. comes from this positive aspect of that. Right? So if all the positive aspects of sattva, rajas, and tamas are manifesting in us, that's the proportion it should be in to be appropriately balanced. This is the idea that we should be striving for, right? So you can't be only sattvic. If you are only sattvic, you'll do nothing. Nothing happens in that life, right? So you need some rajas and you need some... tamasic quality brings completion to things. So you start something, you can't keep building. It's like building a house, right? So when you're building a house, the sattvic aspect would be like the architect designing the house for you. Then you hand it over to the builders. Those are the rajasic guys. They come and build it. But if you keep changing the plan, when will they finish the work? Right. You have to have a completion period. That's what the tamasic attribute does. It brings completion, right? By the way, sattva, rajas, and tamas is happening in every rhythm in your body. Right? For example, if you take your heartbeat, the actual electrical impulse that causes the firing of those electrical impulses in your heart, that's the sattvic quality. Then the actual contraction of the cardiac muscle is the rajasic process. And if the heart muscle didn't relax, which is the tamasic process, your heart will go into spasm. Right? So that rhythm, sattva, rajas, tamas, sattva, rajas, tamas, pounding 72 times a minute in your heart. It's describing the process all the time. Right? You take your menstrual cycle, same thing. You have a sattvic phase, rajasic phase, tamasic phase. If you take your digestive cycle, sattvic phase, rajasic phase, tamasic phase. Everything in your whole life is the play of the gunas, right? It's a fun thing to start looking at it like that and start to look at, I wonder if this thing is the sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic phase, because it's appropriate here, right? So what we're concerned is when it goes unbalanced. That's when the trouble starts for us. We want to know, how do you unbalance, how do you correct and prevent this imbalance from happening in the first place, right? So this appropriate balance is quite important to know. So just to repeat, in males, 70% sattva, 20% rajas, 10% tamas. Females, 70% sattva, 10% rajas, 20% tamas. Right? That's the appropriate balance.
Appropriate positive quality.
Positive quality, exactly. Okay, so this phrase that I'm going to give you now is quite important. So it's basically saying, given by Bhagwan, it's in that discourse, by the way. I'm just going to paraphrase it for you, but so that you can write it down, because it's such an important one. Swami says, if you want to strike a permanent relationship, or bond of friendship with God, if you want to strike a permanent relationship or bond of friendship with God, your thoughts, attitudes, and intentions, your thoughts, attitudes, and intentions must be such that it is completely divine. Must be such that it is completely divine. Can we read the whole thing again? If you want to strike a permanent relationship or bond of friendship with God, your thoughts, attitudes, and intentions must be such that it is completely divine. And the next phrase that Swami gives is that God is sattvic in nature. Right? It's a kind of a temporary thing. God is actually beyond the gunas. But for us to interact with that infinite thing, it will show up as the sattvic attributes. Right? God is sattvic in nature. So if you want to strike a bond of friendship with God, your behavior must reflect only sattvic qualities. Develop the sattvic nature. By the way, that's in the discourse, so you can just underline it if you want. Okay, so let's look at this thing now from a slightly different perspective. Now we're going to look at the relationship between the gunas and the mind. Now that you know about gunas, you can see that many of the defects, the pollutions that happen in this lower mind and in the intellect come from what? The gunas. Right? So in a sense, whatever's happening in your mind, think of the mind as a photographic film. It's recording what is coming through your senses. So in reality, it is the way we are using our senses that's creating all this pollution. Right? So your senses are like lenses. If you use the rajasic lens, then you bring in rajasic influences. If you use the tamasic lens, you bring in tamasic influences. If you use the sattvic lens, you're bringing in sattvic influences, right? And those imprint on them. And here's the outcome. You have this pollution that happens here, and you have the distortion of the intellect, right? So this link between gunas and the mind is something you have to understand. Because your mind, or let's take your intellect, you can now define the nature of your intellect as being either sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic, or changing at different times. So some days you hit a good streak, and you feel like very sattvic for a few days, and then the rajasic guna kicks in. And then you feel all wobbly and craving this and you want that, then you start to do funny things. And then sometimes the tamasic guna kicks in and you just give it all up for a few weeks, a few months. Then conscience starts and you start again. So that up and down, up and down. Have anyone noticed that in their spiritual journey? Yeah. Don't feel bad, it happens to all of us. All it's telling you is that this is the play of the Gunas. And Swami is saying, learn how to rise above that influence. And he's giving you the clue. He says the clue is in the food that you consume. Right? In other words, what you eat, what you see, what you hear, what you smell, the company you keep, the conversations you have, the places you frequent, all of them are imprinted. Right? These vasanas come from the senses. It's said that when you open your eyes in the morning, 40,000 vasanas are already there, which you have to clear up at some point. Right? Now imagine you've lived many lifetimes. Right? Let's say 108 million lifetimes you lived. Just give it a fake number. I'm sure it's more than that. Right? And each of those lifetimes you brought in Rajasic, Tamasic, Sattvic influences. But a lot of them would have been Rajasic, Tamasic. So you carry this load lifetime after lifetime. And until you awaken to the fact that that's what's happening, you can't clean it up. And if you don't know the dirt is there, how are you going to clean it up? You have to do that. Right? So now you know the dirt is there. By Swami's grace, he's called you into incarnation. He said, hey, this instrument I gave you, it's all messed up. Clean it up and come back home. He's giving you the instruction. And now he's showing you how to do it. Right? So step one is to understand that the food creates this problem for you.